Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're receiving this information. My name is Rafael Vázquez Guzmán, and I am privileged to be the CEO of Líderes del Futuro Avanzando, a nonprofit organization in Northern California that provides support to undocumented immigrants and refugees from Latin America who are living in the United States. Most of our focus is Northern California, and the work that we have been doing it for over a decade. You can go to our website where you'll find information about books that we have written, including Fulfilling the Dream, which is meant to support immigrant and refugee parents from Latin America on how to make sure that their children will be successful in this country. There will be other books that you can find in there. And we also want to make sure that you know that we are on Instagram and on TikTok, Líderes del Futuro. And there we put information daily, a video of about 15 to 20 seconds to promote the mental health of all community members. We know that during the pandemic, a lot of individuals were affected emotionally. In some places, like in Northern California, we have been dealing with the fires every couple of years since 2017. And so in about 2020, we created a TikTok and Instagram daily to promote mental health. So we invite you to check that website. We want you to know that from the website, you can connect to our YouTube channel or Facebook or Instagrams and or TikTok. Today, we want to talk about DACA and the latest information. What do we know about DACA? We know that originally over 700,000 individuals receive DACA. It means that individuals could live in the United States without fear of deportation, and two, that they could obtain a work permit to legally work in the United States. Some of those individuals were able to obtain bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and doctorates of different types. Most of them are employed. Now, the program was created with the intention of being a temporary solution to a long-term problem, but 11 years later, DACA continues to thrive. And this program, just with the fees alone to be able to renew DACA, it has created billions of dollars for the United States government. And then since most of the individuals are employed, taxes and Social Security funds have increased for people who have or are retiring nowadays. So everybody benefits from this program. And yet, people want to eliminate the program. There is a case called Texas versus United States that has challenged the validity of DACA. And it's moving its way through the courts. At this moment, there is an appeal in the Fifth Circuit Court, and there is an upcoming decision that could happen as soon as June 2024. Regardless of who wins this appeal, either side is going to appeal it again to the United States Supreme Court. And based on what our attorneys are telling us, they believe that between June or July of 2025, the conservative court will declare DACA to have been created illegally. And for this reason, sadly, we must inform the community to begin getting ready for the end of DACA. This will happen again in summer 2025. Now, DACA from 2012 until today has had ups and downs. One moment, everybody's all for DACA. The next moment, people don't want the program. And again, although it has brought benefits for the recipients and the country in general, with individuals who work at Google and Facebook and Apple and large companies throughout the United States, there's still individuals who don't approve of it. And so, one, it's important for us to begin preparing for the possible end of this program. Two, in the past, we have been told many times it's likely to end and people would be afraid and we began preparing. But we know that unless Congress gives status to all of the recipients of DACA, once the United States Supreme Court makes a final determination, which is likely going to be that DACA is not a valid program, they will decide one of two things. One, that those who have DACA and work permits, starting the day the decision comes out, will not have any protections. Or two, that those who have a work permit will be protected until their work permit expires. Those are the only two options here. So, what are the options for the recipients? At this moment, we are encouraging everybody who has DACA and hasn't gone out of the country and come back legally to do what we call advanced parole. Advanced parole is a program that legally allows individuals to leave the country and come back for one of three reasons. Humanitarian. Humanitarian means that perhaps grandma or grandpa in their home country is sick and requires assistance. Maybe there's going to be a surgery and somebody needs to take care of grandma or grandpa or mom or dad, or maybe an aunt. Or two, that the individual with DACA maybe needs dental procedures that are too expensive in the United States. And after comparing prices and getting all that documentation, they find that going to another country like Mexico would be more beneficial because this dental work is necessary and their insurance company doesn't cover the costs. The second form is through work. And that means that an employer would have to write a letter stating that for the benefit of the company, this individual needs to go to another country and do some work that again will benefit the company, not the individual. Or third, and that is the educational program. The educational program is like the program that our nonprofit organization in Northern California does, which is called Sanación y Cultura, Healing and Culture, where we take individuals with DACA to meet with therapists in Mexico and learn about the cultures of Latin America. We visit with the National Institute of Psychiatry. We visit individuals who do ancestral healing. We visit with the National School of Anthropology and History in Mexico. And we visit other locations because we want people to reconnect with their cultures as a way of healing from their trauma. And therefore, we invite everybody who has DACA to do one of those programs. And regardless of what state you may be located at, you can do it with us, Líderes del Futuro. For our summer program, when we will visit Mexico in July, we are taking people from multiple states. And then we plan to do another one in August. You are more than welcome to scan the QR code, or if you're watching this or listening to this on the podcast, in the description, you will find the link. Once we receive that information, we will do another orientation because our goal is to continue to do this work. We have been doing this work of visiting Mexico with DACA recipients since August of 2023. And we hope to continue to do this work beyond 2024 with our spring trip to Oaxaca City beginning March 15th of 2025. And so we invite you to check out that information. The other thing that we suggest to individuals is to consult with trusted immigration attorneys. There are immigration attorneys who may want to take your money, but may not specialize on how to work with DACA recipients. And so make sure that whomever you go to is somebody that you truly trust. And the goal of visiting with them is to look for options for adjustment. Again, is it an H-1B visa? Is it a U visa? Or is it that you got married to a US citizen and you can adjust status? Right? So there are multiple ways. Those are just three examples, but there are multiple other ways that you could adjust. And maybe you just have never heard about this. And again, here in Sonoma County, California, one of the things that we do is a program once a year that we call Logrando tus Sueños, Fulfilling the Dream. That just happens to be also the title of our book in Spanish and in English that was mentioned earlier, for parents so that they can better understand the cultures of the United States and support their children on adjusting to this country. And so again, here, if you want to scan the QR code, this QR code is for individuals who want to participate in our yearly events. And this is for people in Sonoma County, California, and surrounding counties. You are all welcome to come and participate. The event is going to happen on July 13th from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. And again, we did this event last year, and we provided services to over 185 families in collaboration with private attorneys who volunteered their time, nonprofit organizations, and other colleagues. And so we'll have some individual consultations, some group consultations, and information from the community, not just about this issue, but maybe housing information and education information and more. The goal here is to build community, to provide resources so that DACA recipients and their families will feel supported. What else can you do specifically? Well, you can inquire from your employer if they are willing to sponsor you for an H-1B visa. This is a work-related visa. Not being an attorney, I will not go into detail about this. But again, if you happen to be in Sonoma County, Marin County, Mendocino County, Napa, or some other county in the area, come to our events and see whether or not you can meet individually with one of our volunteer attorneys for the day, or we're going to have another room where we're just going to have a large Q&A session. And our attorneys will explain what this type of visa is. Connect with friends and allies for employment opportunities, so that in 2025, if for whatever reason you lose your DACA, is there a way that you can, again, gain employment or start your own business? We will have a presenter at our event on July 13th who will educate people on, again, how to start your own business in California. But connect with friends and allies also for emotional support. Don't isolate, because isolation leads to depression. And when we are depressed, we tend to make bad decisions. So please connect with individuals. Líderes del Futuro Avanzando once a month has an event that we call Cena de Traje. And what it is an opportunity for DACA recipients to come together in Sonoma County, and they bring a dish to share, and then we have conversation. We talk about finances, we talk about investments. The one that we did last night, we brought a therapist to have a conversation because I had to give the bad news about DACA to the people who showed up. And we will continue to do many workshops every month. So if you are in the Sonoma County area, email us, ask us about Cena de Traje. Again, the dinner that we do monthly. The other thing that we suggest is that you don't give up, right? It's important that you recognize that you were surviving in this country before you had DACA. Some individuals already had their families, some individuals already had a job, and DACA just made it easier or allowed them to move up. But even if DACA ends, as long as we continue to support each other, we will be okay. We invite you to pay off as much debt as possible. Many individuals went out there and bought cars and houses and taken many trips, and now they're in debt on credit cards and everything else. Focus and start paying off as much debt as you can. We also invite you to save as much as you can, right? If you have to lose your job, you should have up to 8 months, is a good amount, 8 months of housing and food and transportation and everything else, so that instead of rushing and again going into depression, anxiety, and everything else, should DACA end, you will be able to breathe and relax and get the career that you really deserve. Educate family about the possible end of DACA, not because you want them to be afraid, but so that we don't continue to deny this reality. Because many people, what they do is they push these thoughts aside and they're like, oh yeah, things are going to get better. And when they don't, that's when we again go into panic mode, and that's not healthy. So educate things like, listen, this summer, we're not going to travel like we were thinking, or we're going to take a shorter trip because we need to start saving, right? Children understand this. Children also can figure out when mom, dad are worrying about something, even if they're not talking about it, which creates more anxiety on those children because nobody's including them in the conversation. And educate those that you trust on ways that they can support you. And that's why I put this information about voting. Again, you as a DACA recipient cannot vote, but maybe your partner who is a US citizen, or your best friend, or other family members, or your coworkers, educate them. And remember something I've always said, local elections are just as important as national elections, because the federal government is the one that gave you DACA, but it's your local community that will create policies on whether or not to be supportive of undocumented immigrants. And talking about books, we invite you to keep visiting our website, lideresdelfuturo.org, where we are going to publish over the next few weeks a wonderful book. It's a collection of 8 essays from students who at some point got DACA, and every one of them has a college education. This doesn't mean that people with DACA who didn't obtain a bachelor's or master's or PhD don't deserve to be in this book. But talking about being undocumented is very traumatic. And so I am grateful that people trusted us with their stories. And again, in a few weeks, we will have this book available for purchase on our website, lideresdelfuturo.org. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us, lideresdelfuturo@yahoo.com. You can also message us or again, follow us on Instagram and TikTok for mental health information and additional resources. With that, my name is Rafael Vasquez Guzman, and it is a privilege to be the CEO of this nonprofit organization. Thank you for your time.